Hello my loves, and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to sit down with you and do another what I'm reading in this season video. I've done a few before if you want to check them out, but I just love sharing what I've been reading. I have quite a diverse collection this time. We've got fiction, nonfiction, science, fantasy, all over the board. I usually do yoga flows and meditations and other talk videos and sometimes vlogs on this channel where we're always discussing what it means to live an aligning, fulfilling, and present life. So a lot of the times the books that I'm reading lean towards that topic of self-development and spirituality, but I've got quite a mix, like I've said. So it's currently winter 2023. We just moved into our new house. I'm so excited to have this new background. If you didn't see our moving in vlog, this is the hutch behind me that I'm using as my altar space to show all my crystals and books. So grab your coffee or whatever drink of choice and let's get into the books I'm reading in this season. So this first book you might recognize from a vlog that I did in Sedona, I think back in the spring. I filmed a day in Sedona with my mom back when we lived in Phoenix, Arizona. I was so lucky to get to go to Sedona whenever I wanted to. If you're not familiar with Sedona, it's like the spiritual hub of the United States. Maybe there's other ones that could compete, but it's a very spiritual place. Beautiful, just has such magical energy. But anyways, we were in like a secondhand shop and they had some books and I picked up this book. I never heard of this author, Michael J. Rhodes, but it's called From Illusion to Enlightenment. This book was really good. It kind of gave me like Eckhart Tolle vibes. So how it's set up is these group of people come visit him in his home. I think he lives in Australia. He actually might be Australian. I haven't done too much research on him. He just seems to be like a spiritual teacher of sorts, but these group of people come to visit him and they ask him all these questions about life, about what it means to live a happy present life, things that I'm always talking about. And it's interesting how it's written because it's just him having this conversation with these people and it really shows how like the people react. And it does a good job of showing how people kind of open their minds to stuff like this, how we do go from the illusion to enlightenment, and how sometimes when we learn these things, it can really break our brain. It can really shatter our reality when we see a completely different way to look at it. So I do recommend this book. It was different. It's short and sweet. And definitely one of those books I like to read right before bed because it just kind of helps expand your awareness before you sleep. That's one of my favorite things to do is read like my spiritual books before bed, which I actually haven't been doing recently. I'll share the book I've been reading before bed, and it just kind of soaks into my awareness while I sleep. Now, the next book you may recognize from my birthday vlog. I went to Barnes & Noble on my birthday and picked up 2 books. That was really the only thing I wanted to do for my birthday this year. Hashtag getting old, but it was so fun. And I absolutely loved the book before this called The 4 Agreements. If you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend. It is such a quick read. It is simple. It is profound. And this one's called The 5th Agreement. So they're adding an agreement. And you could maybe even pick up with this book too. I think it kind of references the 4 agreements as well. But one of my favorite things about this book is how it just points out the fact that everything in our life, from our language to money to currency to our beliefs, are just agreements. Like we agreed that money means something. We agreed that a book is called a book. So it just kind of really helps you question all the agreements. Keep the ones that serve you and release the ones that don't. And I love referencing the 4 agreements. They're so simple. Like one, for example, is just always do your best and leave the rest. Like just do your best and don't worry about anything else. Or nothing is personal in this world, which is hard to grasp sometimes. But again, it's just like so simple and profound. What I also love about this book is it's the same author, Don Miguel Ruiz, but he also has a son writing it with him, which I thought was really cute and special. Oh, there's even a picture of them in the back. And it's based off like this, I don't know if it's a society, but like an ancient culture in the Mexico region, a Toltec wisdom book, which I love things that are connected to ancient wisdom. So very excited to finish this one. By the way I read books is kind of strange. I will read a little bit of a book and switch to another one. That's just how my brain functions nowadays. I like a lot of different things, so I kind of hop around from book to book. I haven't gotten too far, but I know this is going to be one of my favorites. I actually have the 4 Agreements up there somewhere. Now this next one's been super fun. As you guys know, I tend to lean towards nonfiction, self-help, spiritual books. But I had to pick up this book. I'm sure you've seen it somewhere. A Court of Thorn and Roses. It is fiction. It is fantasy. It is total Twilight vibes, but maybe even better, which says a lot. It's part of a series. I think there's 5 or 6 books. I'm actually on the 2nd book right now. I read this one pretty fast, but what I also shared on social media, I believe, is that I knew I was going to love this book. So even though I wanted to tear through it because it was so good, I tried to savor it, because how amazing is it when you read one of your favorite books for the first time? I just wanted to really juice that experience, and I'm reading the 2nd one even slower, even though it's good. Again, like I said, I hop around from book to book. But if you liked Twilight, if you're in my generation, if you're a millennial that read Twilight, or anyone that read Twilight, you will definitely like this. It's a little bit spicier. I think it gets even spicier in the later books if that's something you're into, but it's really good. And like I said, just fun to take a break from nonfiction, read something that is just fun to read. And I do love fantasy stuff. I love fantasy movies, I love fantasy books, cartoons, all that stuff. I'm a magical girl at heart. So here's the 2nd one that I'm not super far through right now, A Court of Mist and Fury. Like I said, there's a whole series. Excited to continue reading those. Okay, this last one is super fun. It's connected to something I've been so called to researching on the podcast, and that is bringing scientific topics to spiritual topics. And as I was doing research on this episode, which is coming out on Monday, by the way, if you're not following the podcast yet or subscribed to the podcast, go and check out that episode. Subscribe so you don't miss it. As I was doing my research connecting spirituality and science, a very prominent person has done a lot of work in this area, and that is Carl Sagan. Now, Carl Sagan did pass away in the 90s, but he was an astronomer and just huge in the movement of bringing scientific concepts to the people. And he had this book he wrote in 1980, and also a series that went along with it. And they even redid the series. I watched that first a long time ago whenever it came out, I think 2014 maybe, with Neil deGrasse Tyson, also called The Cosmos. And it is so good. If you're a science girly like me, if you're a little nerdy like me, it's just been really fun to read this before bed. The pictures in it are beautiful. The smell of an old book is so good. But what's interesting, so my mom got this for me a few years back. She found it at Goodwill, and she was like, I think you would like this. You should have it. I mean, it makes a good coffee table book too, right? If Arlo's not trying to tear it up. But I was doing my research for the podcast episode that I'm talking about, where I'm connecting spirituality and science. And this was propping up my computer. I've had this, I've been lugging it around. I just like the look of it. I love that it says Cosmos on it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to actually read it. So I've been reading it. It's been really fun to dive through. Here's Carl Sagan on the back. Just such a prominent figure in the science community. And I've forgotten how much I love science. I talk about alignment activities on my podcast a lot, especially when I have guests. I love asking them, what's their alignment activity? What's one activity you love to do where time and space falls away? For a lot of people, that is reading. And I do love to read. But one thing that has really gotten me in the zone, I call it, is researching science and learning new scientific things about the way our universe works. Because the way our universe works is magical. On a quantum level, things get so interesting. Make sure you check out that podcast episode. Just do me a favor and go and listen to it. You will not regret it. So I've been loving diving through this book, and I think I'm going to add some more science focused books to my to be read collection. So that is all I am currently reading in this season. Like I said, I do it a little strangely. I hop around from book to book. Follow me on Goodreads if you want to. I do post all the books I'm reading there. I don't always leave reviews. I don't know why I don't leave reviews, but I should leave reviews more often. I do rate them. I don't always leave reviews, but follow me on Goodreads if you want to, and you can always follow me on Instagram. I share a lot of stuff on there about living your most aligning, fulfilling, and present life. Share any books that you're reading in this season in the comments below, or if you've read any of these books, let me know your specific thoughts on these books. And if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps support my channel. It helps support the podcast. It helps support my mission of living our most aligning, fulfilling, and present life. I love you all so much, and I'm sending you all the high vibes. And of course, I will see you in the next video.